The Miami Hurricanes are expected to be better in 2024 than they were in 2023, but we'll tell you exactly why.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Not going to lie, I didn't think we were going to make one today, but here we are. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, writer for allhurricanes.com, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. On this episode, we will talk about a prediction from Mike Farrell Sports.com claiming Mario Cristobal is going to break through. He's one of the top 5 coaches in college ready to break through. Will it happen this year? I want to talk about the X factors that could get in Miami's way of the type of improvement we're hoping for and expecting, but want to give the reasons why Miami Hurricanes will be better in the 2024 football season than they were in 2023. And to help me go through those, our good pal, it's a Truth Teller Tuesday.
It is.
Bruce Warner, welcome back. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing good under the circumstances. As I told you, my mom's really sick. She's in hospital, so who knows? Yeah. But I'm going to see her tomorrow. Anyway, listen, when I'm not doing the show with you, I watch your shows that you do with other people or by yourself. And your listeners, your everydayers and whatever, they're very lucky to have you because you're really on top of all this stuff. You make the show's great. And I appreciate me being on with you, despite criticisms, which I don't really care anymore. What the hell do I care? What are they going to do? Take my dogs away from me?
Well, I hope not. No, your dogs are awesome.
Yeah, they are awesome. They are awesome. So anyway, look, I've been saying 10 wins minimum, but the most of the outside noise I hear is about Mario and the ability to coach and prepare this team for each game. And I'm not going to back down from that. I agree. I think that's really, we have enough talent. There's no excuse anymore. There are no excuses. You can say the defensive backs. I don't think so. But we're all anticipating the front seven to be better. Let's hope that happens. The schedule's not so tough. And we have to beat Florida. That's a given. It's not an ACC team. So what? We have to beat these guys. Like I've been saying, we need to kick their ass. And everybody that I talked to and all the former players that I've been talking to the last week all say the same thing. We've got to go up there and just beat their brains in and then take it every single week, one game at a time. We can't look past anybody. Look at Georgia Tech last year. We can't look past anybody. Just be ready and go out there and perform every week. We do have enough talent to win the ACC. We have enough talent to go undefeated as far as I see this. But again, there are some X factors, which we'll talk in the next segment. Do I think we should be better? You're damn straight. What were we last year? 7-6? That's not so great.
No, it's not.
It's not great at all.
Okay. Big reason you highlighted one of those there. One of the major reasons, Bruce, before we take a deep dive on Miami's roster and the additions and subtractions, the Hurricanes have an easier schedule on paper than they've had in a long time. Miami's strength of schedule, according to the Phil Steele Preview magazine, which has been the most accurate predictor over the last 28 years, Miami has the 46th ranked strength of schedule in the country. I mean, for a Power 4 schedule, it's not that difficult. There are a couple teams in the ACC that have easier schedules than Miami, but Miami has a manageable schedule this year. That's one thing. Another thing, Bruce, that we probably don't talk about this enough, especially in this day and age in college football. There are so many moving parts when it comes to coaching carousels, not even just talking about the head coach, talking about assistant coaches. And Miami hasn't had a lot of continuity lately. To have both your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator heading into their second seasons at Miami, obviously Miami didn't have that continuity last year because both Shannon Dawson and Lance Guidry were new on the job. They're both heading into their second season. Having that continuity from your coordinators, to me, a very important recipe for success.
Assuming, because there's been question marks about Dawson, I've raised them. Other people, some of your comments on here from your listeners and your viewership say the same thing I do. I don't know about him either. I want to see this guy, attack from all angles, backs getting the ball out of the backfield, screens, crossing routes, bombs, all that stuff. I want to see some guys in the backfield in motion. I'd love to see two backs at the same time, to confuse these guys. I want to see diversity with the offensive play calling. And then I'll be able to say, you know what? Now I'm glad this guy's still here, because I just don't know. I don't know if I trust him. And again, last year, we had problems with Van Dyke, but he didn't really seem to get better. Between the A&M game and the Boston College game, he stunk. Then in the Boston College game, he was great, right?
Apparently he's not doing that great at Wisconsin. So it's like,
yeah, he might not start.
Maybe he was the problem.
Yeah,
or a problem anyway.
That could be. We'll see this year. That's my point. If he was the problem, I don't think Vince Lombardi could have coached him to doing any better. He was a head case.
Yeah.
Look what happened when he comes in against Florida State. Williams gets hurt and he throws a pick, and everybody said the same thing. What else is new? So, we had to deal with that last year. We had no clue from one series to the next how he was going to perform.
Right.
We can't have that. I'm expecting Cam Ward to be spectacular.
Yeah, and another big picture factor that I hope will work in Miami's favor, and I think will. Mario Cristobal's first full recruiting cycle, which was his top 10 class of 2023, these guys are all heading into their second year. Now, some of these, Bruce, were big-time contributors in year one. Ruben Bain, Mark Fletcher had breakout years. CeCe Maui-Noah started every game at right tackle and did very well for a true freshman. Riley Williams got a lot of playing time, but he obviously can become more of a factor in the passing game this year. But then you've got other guys like the Popos and the Ray Josephs. And I think there are many, Samson Okunlola, who may end up being starting left guard this year. There's a bunch of other guys from that loaded class of 2023 that I think can take a bigger step forward. Robbie and Bobby Washington. Right. So that first full recruiting class heading into their second year, the guys who played last year should get better. The ones who didn't and redshirted should be factors this year. I think that's really important.
I agree with that. And I also have been hearing a lot of buzz about Inez Cooper, even though he was here in the year before that. But there's a lot of buzz about him. He may even be able to bolt and go to the NFL after this year. He's that good. He's really playing well. He's got high grades, and he's not, I wouldn't say he's a surprise, but then you got this other kid, Bell, who's similar, but he's much taller. But again, if he puts the effort that Cooper put in, he could be a stud too, as we're going forward, or if somebody gets hurt, so you can't say that Mario hasn't developed these guys. He's done a pretty damn good job with the guys he's brought in. And Mirabel, they're working with him. So yeah, I'm okay with what they have offensively, defensively. We don't really know. I'll mention what I said to you before in the next segment.
Yeah.
But I think we have bodies now. How good these bodies are, how well Messidor recovers from the foot problems he's got, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, quick. Let me go certain position groups that I expect to be better this year, Bruce. To me, clear upgrade at quarterback, going from Tyler Van Dyke to Cam Ward. Ward can extend plays. He can manipulate the pocket. He's more dynamic. I expect him to be more consistent, but he's got to keep the fumbles down. Of course, that's going to be crucial. The tight end position, if that doesn't rebound from last year, we got problems. I mentioned Riley Williams. I think it's who blocked well and played a lot last year. I think he's going to become a much bigger factor in the passing game this year. Elijah Arroyo is healthy. Elijah Lofton, that's weapon X on this football team.
Yeah, he's an X
that guy up anywhere.
He's an X factor. You can play him anywhere, right? He's going to be a back. He's going to be a H back. He's going to be a tight end. You know what? They could move him out wide. They don't have to line him up near the line of scrimmage. He could be out in a slot someplace. Good luck covering him one-on-one.
Yeah, the running back room, clear upgrade, adding Damian Martinez. He's one of the very best in the country. The wide receiver room, Bruce, I believe will be upgraded. You were able to keep Restrepo and Jacoby George coming off of their strong seasons last year.
Mhm.
You replaced Colby Young with Sam Brown. We'll see how that goes. But Isaiah Horton looks like he's ready to break out. Ray
Yeah,
Joseph should
right.
be a bigger part of the offense. So I think receiver is going to be an upgrade. Also, I think these guys will do even better with Cam Ward as their quarterback now. On the defense, I would say the edge rusher position looks as deep as it's been in a very long time. I think the
Mhm.
linebacker room, I believe, has been upgraded this year. I think it's big that you have the same kicker and punter from last year, Bruce. Borregales is one of the best in the country. Dylan
Yeah.
Joyce did very well in his first year last year. He can build on that success. And also, something we've talked about a lot before, special teams and returners. Like, obviously you still have Restrepo. I'd like to see other guys get opportunities at reps. I would imagine Chris Johnson and Ray Joseph heading into their second year, you would trust these guys more in big time kick and punt return situations. Robbie Washington, Chris Wheatley Humphrey can give you options, maybe Nycar and JoJo Trader. So there's a lot of speed now on this football team, Bruce. Miami should have more options on kick and punt returns.
Yeah, and I think if you could rest Restrepo and not let him
Yeah.
make him play the special teams because he gets nicked up a lot. He gets hit hard or whatever. Yeah, let the other guys do it. Maybe even Lofton return a kickoff. I mean, he's got speed and he's a bruiser too.
Yeah.
You know, you don't always have to have these little guys that could run. But listen, I've been saying this all along. The offense looks loaded, and unless Ward gets hurt, I don't know much about Poffenberger. I understand he's doing well, but still, he's not as dynamic as Ward. If Ward stays healthy, I see us carving teams up. I don't care who it is. That includes Florida State. I still think we're going to score 40 points a game in almost every single game. I just do.
Now,
I've never seen an offense like this. Even when they won in 2001, they were great. Look at that. They had 4 or 5 receivers. They had multiple backs.
Yeah.
They were really good. Really good. But, I can't wait for the Florida game. I'm nervous. We're only in the end of June, and I'm nervous about the game because I can't even fathom losing to them. I'd be sick. Well, I would be sick to my stomach if they lose to those bums.
I know we're painting a very rosy picture. I do want to talk about the X factors that could derail a lot of what we're talking about when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here. Got the truth teller with us. We are only getting started, my friends, on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. I like summer when it comes to betting on sports because I love soccer. There's so many baseball games, UFC fights to bet on. But I know, listen, NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs are over. Congratulations to our Florida Panthers. I am on very little sleep, maybe no sleep, but I'm wired on coffee and adrenaline and excitement after a Stanley Cup and after a lot of Florida Panthers money line wins throughout this playoff run. I love sports so much. I never want them to stop. As the playoffs have winded down, we get fewer games. The sports aren't sportsing like I want them to, but FanDuel lets me keep the sports bets going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Alex Donno and Bruce Warner with you. So, Bruce, I strongly believe Miami is going to be better in 2024 than they were in 2023. I think they can compete for an ACC championship. To me, my biggest X factors. Now, you touched on a couple of these. Obviously, for all the excitement I say about the 2023 class heading into their second year, there's 2024s that I think can play right away who have just arrived on campus.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, but so overall player development, right? We know obviously this staff is recruiting very well. I believe they can develop these players, right? When you have people like Kevin Beard and Jason Taylor and Alex Mirabal, I could name every assistant coach, but the list goes on and on. I believe they can develop these players, but they have to show it to us, Bruce. That is an X factor, right? Development of these young players. The defensive backfield, it's young. It's a question mark. They've got to answer the call this year. And coaching decisions, right? You open the show saying all these national analysts, all they want to talk about is, oh, roster looks great. Can Mario coach? Now, Mario Cristobal he's won 2 Pac-12 championships, so it's not like the guy's never won anything before. But yes, a coaching decision literally cost Miami a win last year. So that's an X factor.
And I would argue that the North Carolina game, the coaching or the lack thereof to be prepared for a no-huddle offense where we were up by a point at halftime. We looked sick in the second half, like we weren't even playing. You know what else is an X factor? Neither one of us, maybe you do, I don't, knows much about the other teams. I don't really follow what Virginia's done and Virginia Tech in the offseason. Even FSU, I know certain things about them. I really don't know who they've gotten in the portal, what they lost some players. The Gators lost a bunch of players. So there's always an X factor because I don't know about the rest of the ACC teams as much as I know about the Miami team. I
can run down a few if you want. So Virginia should still be very bad. Virginia Tech, I think, can sneak up on some teams this year. They had a really strong finish to last year. Yeah. They found their quarterback. Kyron Drones did really well. I think Virginia Tech is well coached, fast team. I think it's really good for us that it's a home night game on a Friday night. So a short week for them having to travel. So I think the schedule works out. But Virginia Tech is going to be a good team this year.
How about that powerhouse Georgia Tech?
They're not bad. I mean, obviously we should have beaten them last year, but Georgia Tech was another team that had a pretty strong finish to the year.
Right, they did.
Their quarterback is pretty good. They have some talent. So that's not a pushover game by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think Duke is going to be very good. I think losing Riley Leonard was a big loss for them. Their quarterback was like everything for that team last year. When healthy, he did miss a lot of games.
But then again, don't forget we lost to Butch who was at FIU at the time, and now we're going to go against Manny. He's going to, who knows what he's going to do? Maybe he'll have turnover chains at Duke. Little basketball chains with MK on it. Mike Krzyzewski. That's what he's going to have.
Oh man, I love that.
I listen, I don't really know. I still expect us to be favored in every game except maybe Florida State and maybe Louisville on the road. I think those 2 games are back to back, which is scary.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Hold on. Let me pull up the Hurricanes schedule. I want to make sure I have all the dates. And you got, I don't think Cal's going to be very good. I think they'll be above average, but you do have to travel out there. It's a road trip.
It's a road trip, right?
Big road trip. Hold on.
The last time we played them out there, like 35, 40 years ago, we beat the hell out of them.
Yeah. By the way, you were right. It's the Louisville game's first on the road, October 19th, and then the next week is Florida State at home. So that's on paper, probably. I know Florida fans would say, "Don't forget about us, y'all." But on paper, I think the Florida State and Louisville that's the toughest stretch to the season. I'm not sleeping on Florida either.
Neither am I.
Tough environment, but yeah, that stretch where you have Louisville on the road, Florida State at home, that's the toughest stretch of the year.
And here is the ultimate X factor: injuries. The ultimate X factor, and there's maybe, quarterback it may be a problem, but I think we're okay in every other position. If somebody goes down, I think we're okay. If Restrepo goes down, I still think we have enough talent to cover for him, although he's the key.
He is the key.
And if something happens to Martinez, as long as Fletcher's healthy, could you imagine if Fletcher's healthy for Florida? Man, good luck. Good luck. Then you throw in A.J. Allen or maybe even,
Lyle.
or Lyle or Chris Johnson as a change of pace, because he's got something those other guys don't have, blazing speed. I really want to use him, especially out of the backfield. That's a mismatch. And we have our tight ends. So look, I'm trying to be very optimistic, but I did mention to you before, have you seen Simeon Barrow play? Has anybody seen Barron play? Have you seen Austin?
I've seen Barron.
Play?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen well, you said you saw Martinez. Have you seen Sam Brown play? I haven't, so I don't really know what he's going to do.
I didn't watch much Houston. I watched more Michigan State 2 years ago. I mean, last season was just a dreadful year for that program. I watched them more 2 years ago, so I've seen Barrow a little bit, but it's been a while. I saw a few Tennessee games. So I've seen Tyler Barron and Martinez. It's funny. Damian Martinez was a guy. Every time I watched him run last year, I'm like, man, I wish we had a guy like that. And now here he is, or another guy like Fletcher was getting there. I think Fletcher can get there, but he wasn't as polished of a product as Martinez was. I was watching him like, man, I wish we had that guy here. And then lo and behold, here he is.
But this is going to set him back, even if he's healthy, Fletcher, because he doesn't really have that great burst. He gets at the line of scrimmage and he maybe pushes for a yard or two. A couple of times he broke into the secondary when he wasn't caught. But, I think Martinez has more breakaway speed. I'm sure Lyle's got significant breakaway speed. But how many touches is he going to get a game? The guy with the real breakaway speed is Chris Johnson.
Yep. Yeah, and Fletcher was, you remember it wasn't just the injury at the Rutgers game, but he had a midseason injury as well. And even when he came back, I don't think he was 100%. That's just my opinion, because I spoke to him last week, and he, when I asked him what his big goals were for next year, he wants to stay off the injury list. He wants to be healthy because he struggled with that last season. So I think we're going to, if he can stay off that injury list, we're going to see a better version of him. Now, a prominent national college football sports writer is expecting Mario Cristobal to break through. Bruce, we'll talk about why when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here. Alex Donno and the Truth Teller with you on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. We're less than halfway through what's going to be a really fun, busy week here on Locked On Canes. On Thursday afternoon, which I think will be second episode of the day that day, going to be bringing Luke Nickel back on the show. 2025, committed, fully locked in, future Miami Hurricanes quarterback. He was just placed in the Elite 11 finals. He was one of the Elite 11 at the most prestigious football camp. Nickel performed very well. He's very enthusiastic about becoming a Miami quarterback, and we're going to talk with Luke on Thursday. On Wednesday, we're going to talk with the recruiting overlord, Brian Smith. If you're wondering, hey, Donno's a little light on the recruiting today. Well, we hit it heavily on Monday, and we're going to be hitting it heavy again on Wednesday because, you got some decisions coming down this week. Chris Ewald is going to be announcing on Thursday, scheduled to announce on Thursday anyway, and it's a Miami versus Georgia tug of war. Maybe Brian Smith tomorrow can tell us where Ewald is going to go. We got the Truth Teller with us. So, Bruce, Mike Farrell.
He may or may not make that announcement on Thursday. I told you. I'm not positive. He had a great visit at Georgia, and his dad said they have something to think about, blah, blah. I still think he's going to go to Miami, though. I just do.
Now,
but you couldn't blame him. I mean, Georgia's a good football program.
If he were to push back I don't know if that's going to happen, or I've seen those rumors, but if he were to push it back, I wouldn't feel great about that, because if we believed Miami to be the leader. You want him to announce sooner, right? If he pushes it back, it might be because Georgia gave him too much something to think about. So we'll see what happens there. So Mike Farrell at MikeFarrellSports.com put together this week, Bruce, a list of 5 coaches who are about to break through. Number 5 on his list is Hugh Freeze at Auburn. He's been recruiting exceptionally well. Right. Number 4 is Dan Lanning at Oregon, who's gotten really close, but he hasn't maybe already broken through yet. Mike Elko at Texas A&M, who's going back over there from Duke, where he's done about as good of a job as you can do at Duke for the last few years. Matt Rule at Nebraska at number 2. And then how about this? Mario Cristobal at number 1, coach that Mike Farrell expects to break through this year. Here's why. He says, many will laugh at this. And yes, Cristobal has a tough time getting out of his own way as a coach sometimes. But
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, this is simple. You recruit elite talent, you will win games. If Miami isn't a playoff team in the next few seasons, I'll be surprised. And Bruce, here's a stat to back up what Mike Farrell is saying. Now, this statistic is not an end-all be-all, but based on the talent of players on college rosters, based on where they were recruited out of high school, Miami has a blue chip ratio that is 12th in the country now. So, talent-wise, they've got, theoretically one of the top 12 most talented rosters in the country based on the amount of former 4-star and 5-star recruits they have on their roster. So the talent level is at a spot where it's not quite been in recent years.
But I think a lot of those, I'm not sure, I'm guessing they're including the recent recruiting class where you've got Scott and you've got Blount and you've got other people that are 4 and 5 stars, but they haven't played it down yet. So those guys might not impact this coming. Zaquan may or may not impact the team this year. I'm sure Patterson's going to play. They're all going to play, but I don't know what the impact's going to be. It's got to be most of the guys we've mentioned already. But, you know that you lose a couple of guys next year because we're going to lose Barrow, we're going to lose Barron, we're going to lose this guy, that guy.
Probably Martinez. I mean, he's got 2 years left, but yeah.
But the rest of our running backs, if you look at them, maybe A.J. Allen, aren't going anywhere next year. Yeah. Fletcher's not going anywhere. Lyle's not going anywhere. Johnson's not. Maybe Chris Humphrey Wheatley may leave. I don't know. But look, the team is pretty loaded. And I think the emphasis is on Mario. Now, we were 4-0 last year, weren't we? And then we got to the ACC and laid an egg.
Yeah.
We wound up we're 4-0. We were 7-6 or 7. What was our over 7-5, right?
7-5, and then the bowl game. Yeah,
right. So I think we keep saying the same thing. The springboard game is the Gators. We got to beat them, and then go from there. But I expect us to beat these other teams, and then we get what? Who's our first ACC game? Virginia Tech.
I think it's Virginia Tech. Yeah, on the night game. That's the first ACC game.
Right. That's the Friday after the game against whoever we play 4th. So I think
it's after the USF game, which, by the way,
that's not going to be a walk in the park.
That's a sneaky game. Got to go to Tampa for that game. They
almost beat Alabama last year.
I know. That was a weird game. It was, the weather was terrible. They benched Saban benched Milroe to light a fire under him, which worked apparently.
Which worked, but yeah.
So as long as we don't bench Cam Ward for that game, we should be all right.
No, we'll be fine. But again, I don't know much about the Gators. Maybe, as we get closer to the season, we ought to start doing a little more investigating their real roster. Their offensive line, is that the strength or a weakness? Their D-line, supposedly their defense is still pretty good.
Yeah, I think the offensive line, I think, is a weakness, but they've got good defensive backs. I think a good overall defense, a pretty good receiving core. They lost their top running back, so we'll see how they are at that.
And their top receiver too, they lost. Pearsall. Yeah. They lost him too.
Yeah.
So look, I don't know, and I think we can get to their quarterback, but that's the first game of the year. We've got to be ready, and we've got to take care of these guys, and we really do. So as long as we stay healthy, I'm going to go out on a limb again. We're going to win no less than 10 games. No less than 10. There's no way we're going to lose 3 games this year, unless we lose Ward.
Yeah, right. which
Unless we lose it, then all bets are off.
yeah, I don't even want to. I'm too superstitious to even respond to that. So I'm just going to move on, and I'm going to thank everyone for making Locked On Canes your first maybe not your first listen today because we came out so late, but I hope it was your first listen and your first watch today. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. If you listen to the audio version, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Shout out to all of you everydayers. Shout out to the Truth Teller. Remember, we're going to talk with the recruiting overlord, Brian Smith, tomorrow, Luke Nickel on Thursday. Probably going to have some Canes players Friday, and maybe Bruce and I will do an extra episode Friday. So we're going to have, like, between now and Friday, probably like 5 or 6 more episodes. So it's going to be a loaded week.
All right, man. Hey, I love this show. You know, I watch it on my 85-inch screen TV now. You know,
that's the only way to watch. You could see all the imperfections on my face, just
and how old I am. Look at that. Look what Banks did to me. That's my dog. He scratched me.
Your dog did that?
Yeah, it bleeds underneath my skin. Yeah, that's not a liver spot because I don't have it on this hand. But
I mean, I don't know what a liver spot looks like, but I imagine it looking something like that.
It does look something like that, but this was because of Banks. I just took the bandage off. It was bleeding. Every time I go over there, he's always jumping on me and scratching me. When is fall camp open? Do you have a date for that?
I don't think they've announced the official date. It's
first week in August, I believe.
Or very end of July, maybe something like, I know it's after, because they have the ACC media days, which I'm going to in Charlotte, are July 22nd through the 25th. So it's probably a week after that. So like very end of July, first day of August, something like that. We'll be out there.
And I think I'm going to the Hall of Fame inductions with Mark Caesar to see Devin and Andre get inducted into the Hall of Fame. They got 2 Canes at the same time. So I think I'm going to go with Mark, and I think we're going to go up there and see that.
That's awesome. Well, we'll talk to everyone again tomorrow on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.